Hey, what's up, guys? It's Elmer Brown Enriquez, your host of Artistic Visions, the show where we like to go in-depth with young artists at OCAD, talk about their art, what they like to talk about in their art, and what they would like to talk about in their art. And today I got a very special guest for a Grad X special, Wrynn. How are you doing?
I am alive. We've done it. It's done. We did it.
Yeah, you're towards
Grad
the
X
end of...
is almost there.
Yeah.
We did it.
To think that you're towards the end of your, artistic career at OCAD specifically, it's really awesome to see. I've seen a lot of, we've worked alongside each other for like the last couple of years now.
Yeah.
And I've seen what you've been doing and seeing how much you've grown, not even just within your work, but within your, art in general. And it's so awesome to see. But, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's just go into it. Who are you and what kind of art do you usually make?
I'm Wrynn. I do like kind of a little bit of everything. I'm consider myself a multidisciplinary artist. I do like digital illustration, do paint, like physical painting, like oil painting, projection mapping, video, film, kind of like a little bit of everything. I do sculpture too, ceramics. Kind of like, I like to say it's like, the phrase of like, jack of all trades but a master of none, but I would like to say like I'm a jack of trades but a master of some.
Yes. 100% that.
Also lighting.
Yes,
That's
lighting.
the big one. But yeah, I kind of do, I do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, no, and we see that in this amazing piece, which you call Deer Machine Ecosystem.
Yes.
And, right off the bat, we see a lot of moving parts, not even just, you have a whole laser system, which I'm very interested to hear about. But, on top of that, you have your projection mapping and also painting. And you know what? Tell me more of this piece. What are we seeing here?
Basically, this is me trying to create like stage design. You know how you go to a concert and there's like all these things like reacting to the music and stuff. It's like I was like obsessed with the concept of stage design, and I don't know, I went to like the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. And they had these like really cool things all reacting to the music, and this like huge screen doing like visuals, and I was like, this is really cool, I'm gonna look into it. And then I got obsessed with this entire thing of lighting design, stage design, like audio reactive stuff, and it's a whole like science art kind of thing, and it's like highly technical. It's very similar to like film, but in like a different way. But yeah, it was me being like, I want to highlight stage design. Like I want to take away like the concert, I want to take away the musical artist, and just want to highlight these because most of these pieces are like art installations within themselves. And I was like, I really like how these look, I really like how these feel, how they make you feel, and how they create a vibe for the concert or the venue or the rave or whatever. So yeah, it's just two projectors lined up. One takes up the big wall, and one's just kind of to extend it. And it's just all ran through Touch Designer. There's projection mapping onto two oil paintings, and there's the laser that's controlled by DMX. Yeah, there's like a lot going on. I have like a whole control center for it. Like,
yeah. Your own like little DJ set.
It is. It's like the whole system's like I have to run it through two computers. One's running the audio, one's running the visuals because it can't handle it by itself.
Yeah, I did want to ask because I don't know, this might be coming out during Grad X, but from what you told me, I think you were planning on having a DJ set.
Yes,
potentially there. So can any kind of music be played through it and be reacted to?
Yeah, so my goal with it was to make it completely audio reactive, like live reactive. So any music you play through it, it can react to it.
Wow.
So not what I made for it is like this techno set that has like church vibes, and it's very like there's like organ and like a bunch of weird like church instruments melded in with like techno, but anything you throw at it can react to, which is pretty cool. It's like crazy. The Touch Designer lets you like create things like this and like way more than just that. It's live reactive. You can throw anything at it and it'll react.
Yeah, and let's go more into the concept of it, because I see a lot of imagery already with the projections, but we also have the 2 paintings in the forefront of everything, and not to mention we also have a little head, a severed head on a pedestal in the middle. So what are we seeing here conceptually?
A lot of the concept behind this is like there's several parts to it. First of all, I wanted to create like a safe space for queer people and trans people, and I found that kind of this safe space within like places I've been to, communities I attend to, as like this rave and this like space of like transitional, like it's kind of like a weird liminal space in a sense, where you're in there and you feel like you're kind of separated from the rest of the world, just being in like the party, the rave, and just listening to the music and taking it in. And I want to recreate that for people just as a safe space within the gallery, because I am at a point when I'm fed up with academia and all this stuff that's like at school, and just they're telling me like, write about everything, justify your very existence with this thing, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I just want to make it because I feel like making it. The other part is, this is a lot of me grappling with like religious upbringing and religious trauma. That's why the paintings are so like religiously coded, and there's like the church vibes and everything's going on. There's actually like there's a video of Mexico City Cathedral flashing in and out with the music versus like a forest, and it's just there's this forest in the northern part of Mexico City that I just love being in, and I would just go there, and it was sort of like a peaceful space. And then there's all this like being brought up in like Catholic school and all of this like kind of Catholic guilt of being brought up like, oh, your existence is wrong, your existence is immoral, all of this like typical church religious trauma queer people things,
especially in Mexico too, it's really strong religiously, right? So,
and it was like this very specific like I would call it a cult of like Catholic people who were like very, very like conservative and very, very like it was pretty bad, but I don't want to get that much into that part. It's just like I'm grabbing all these themes and recontextualizing them in like a queer context. I'm like, it's like the symbology. The paintings are called Rebirth and Pleasure. So the first one is just the symbology is like me when I was like younger, like kneeling, praying, and crying, being like, oh, like I'm gonna go to hell. This is wrong. Like, what is going on? Like, my existence is wrong. Like, I should pray to fix it. And then there's like this rebirth happening of me, like as a trans woman coming out as like sort of like as an angel, like comforting figure towards my younger self. There's also like the detached antlers. I don't know. I like this like deer symbology of like cutting the antlers off to signify like trans and like transitioning from one side to the other, and the other painting is literally just me being like, I want to piss off like people and just doing like the inverted cross with my persona, just like being like crucified in pleasure.
No, I looking at the paintings and alongside the Catholic motifs that you have on the projector, like, I think religion is such a touchy subject for some people, and it is really hard to try and talk about it without pissing off people. So I think no matter what you do, it's gonna piss off people in some way. But what you're doing here, I think what you're playing with, like, it's not even about the religion itself. It's about how it affected you and how it affected your upbringing. And it is something that obviously not just affected you, but it's still a thing that does affect people now. Like, especially, because I mean, we're both Mexicans, so sorry for all the Mexico speak. But, like, especially in Mexico where it's so religiously pushed.
It's so like ingrained into the culture in a way that's kind of like, and also like the history of it, how it was like colonized into it, and how they used like all of these stories and all of these things to kind of like get the native population to believe into the the Catholic Christian things, and now it just flipped everything around. It's kind of fucked up history. and then how it's been ingrained into the culture to such a degree that it's so like it's so harmful.
Mm-hmm.
It has also made some like really beautiful things, but at the same time, it's like when it's taken to the point where it's like used to harm, it's like you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, to force their ideologies on others and not give people who are, you know, discovering themselves, like yourself, to give them a space to talk and feel and understand themselves. And that's when it can get really harmful, because then they're like, well, this is not how it's viewed in the eyes of God, or
it's
whatever.
not it's not the perfect core family. It's not like the
Yeah,
ideal. It's like, oh my God, all that stuff. It's like,
Yeah, but despite that, you know, talking about this piece itself, I just absolutely love the amount. First of all, the projection mapping, I think, is such an insane aspect of this, and I really like how much you played a lot with your paintings, and it like lights up, and it like emphasizes the figures. And you know, I love the paintings themselves as well. Like I love, you know, because of that, like kind of you have the pleasure, which kind of contradicts the, what was it called?
Rebirth.
Sorry, rebirth.
Yeah.
It contradicts the rebirth in the way where I think I like iconography wise, where it's like I do see almost the side like a cross on rebirth, especially with the wings. Also, just the projection mapping on rebirth is really crazy, especially for the antler part, where like the halo.
It's like a halo of antlers.
Like what you did with the projection mapping and making things glow within the pieces is such a cool aspect with the projection mapping, and for it to react alongside the projector behind it, alongside the laser, like it's so many moving parts that like just start, you know, really like entices like a person to be in that space and just experience the music alongside the visuals. And I really wish that I can be there now, because we have the video playing,
Like
and
soon.
but soon at GradX. I don't know if you know your room yet, actually.
I do. I did get the shooting studio, the same room. It was a battle to get it. But
if you know, shooting studio on the 355 third floor, 100 McCall at OCAD, May 1st to 5th. Wrynn will be there with her amazing little area. Like, just you have this whole space, and I feel like once you enter it, you enter a new world of lasers and lights.
Yes, that's the entire idea of it. It's just like you go in and it's sort of like you're no longer, well, you are in the gallery space, but you're no longer in the gallery space. Because I'm just like, screw the gallery space, screw the white cube, screw this like institutionalism of like art, and I just want to make something that's like that like truly like brings it out of you and just like makes you feel.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah, I totally agree. And, you know, I'd like to move on to my next question. Who or what inspired you during your thesis piece?
So, as you said, it was like a lot of stage design and things like that. But there's a couple specific artist collectives and artists that like really kind of brought in kind of the techniques that I'm using, is specifically the laser and the projection mapping. There's two Russian artist collectives that are like extremely influential in like what I was trying to do. One of them is called the 404.0, and they work a lot with laser projectors and stuff like that, and they make them live react to modular synthesizers. And they create these patches of like dark, super texturized, like ambient music with like percussion. And when the percussion hits and stuff like that, it just creates like a flash of lasers, and they just come right after the other, and it's crazy. And they have like a giant warehouse full of them.
Damn.
And they just go like da 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 da, like one after the other, and it just looks insane, and it's so powerful. But it's so simple. It's just like a row of lasers that it just creates this feeling that I was going for. And then there's this other Russian artist collective called Tundra that had this piece called Nomad that played at Mutec in Montreal in like 2019. Wow. And they had this like huge projection like screen with the lasers pointed at it, and they were performing on the floor in front of the projection. Ooh. And then there was like a projection synchronized with the lasers that reacted to the music. It's kind of like like a similar idea, but the projection lined up with the lasers. And it was like this inspiration of stuff like that, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. I want to do something in that vein of work, where it's like audio reactive, visually interesting, and it's like technologically like very technical, because I like the challenge of that stuff. And yeah, there's also like, I watched there's like this little series on YouTube about how Deadmau5 does the entire control system of his like concert. And that's where I learned about Touch Designer and how everything's done with Touch Designer, and like live reactive audio, all of this stuff. And I was like going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah. Was this like that cube stage that he has?
Yeah, the cube stage is like, he has a whole video explaining how it works and how it's made, and like how the control systems like make it react to the music and stuff like that. And it's so interesting. And I was like, oh, I need to learn Touch Designer. And that's how this came about.
Yeah, no, I mean, another aspect that I didn't really touch on is whether the laser and its space. Like, I really like how much it plays within its space, but I feel we don't have the music playing now, but when it gets intensified, it kind of like starts splurging out and kind of reacting to it. I really like that aspect a lot as well. And I do want to say, like, I feel like, what was it, that 404.0? I feel like if you had this piece in that space, it would just be
crazy.
So wild.
Like, if I had the budget for like 10 of these lasers that are like, because the laser I'm using for this is like, it's kind of a dumb laser, because the fancy ones, you can tell them to draw whatever shape you want with Touch Designer or whatever other software. These ones have kind of a predetermined pattern built into them that you can just give it a number from like 1 to 255. And there's like 255 patterns or like something like that, and they're baked in. And I got lucky that one of them was a cross. And I just went with that one. But the only thing I can really do with the music is like move it around or like shake it. So if I had the fancy lasers, I could draw whatever I wanted with it. But no budget for that. Maybe one day.
One day with all the budget.
I'll have a bunch of lasers. And
404 will hit you up, and they'll give you all the lasers they have. This is an absolutely stunning piece. I cannot wait to see it in person, and hopefully party with some of you guys.
Come to the party. Yeah. It's literally a party. It's meant to be a party.
This is a party room now.
Yes.
I would like to move on to my next question. Kind of throwing it back to your first year, which I know was so long ago at this point. But, how would you compare your own art from then till now?
Honestly, my art back then was shit. It was like pretty terrible. This is when I was like barely getting into like digital illustration. I was like learning how to like how to like draw and paint correctly and stuff like, well, not correctly, but like technically getting like a little bit better at stuff. But everything I was making back there was kind of boring. It was kind of like, but like I've come a long way, I think, especially when it comes to like illustration and stuff, and also like the knowledge, just having 5 years in between to like acquire knowledge and experience and all of this, and like working with other people, having more access to different equipment, different ideas, and more just more art, just taking in more art from other places, and just
Yeah, no, I think, like, because I personally don't think, at least from what I remember, like, I saw only a few of your things from way back. But I don't think it was boring, but I understand what you're saying, where it's like, it wasn't what you thought was what you wanted to do.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, what was I doing in first year?
I feel like you were doing a lot of painting. But then you did photography on top of that.
You're right. I was doing a lot of photography in first year. Yeah, and it was like, I was kind of like going through this like, shooting in film and this whole aspect of photography, and then I kind of got over it. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's been a lot of growth and a lot of like just technical and just like conceptual growth within my art.
Yeah, a lot of knowledge that you picked up. You know, I that's one thing I've noticed. You have so much knowledge about. This is kind of more related to film sets, but like lighting and cameras and the technical aspects of a lot of different gadgets. You'll just know, and you'll be like, oh yeah, you just plug this into here, and then it'll start working. And then I'm like, what? How? Like, where did you learn this? You know?
It's yeah, a lot of noodling around with things, just experimenting, throwing things together.
Yeah, but like, you know, and you know, I was not by your side, but I remember hearing so much about the developments you were making within this thesis piece, and just hearing about like the amount of research you went into for lasers, and then how much you were talking about the projection mapping onto the paintings. And, you know, even seeing kind of early stages of this piece, like, was really interesting, because it's like, where is Wrynn going to take it next? Because I knew there was, like, there's this step here, but I know that's not all from Wrynn. Like,
oh, it is not. There's, like, a lot more, like, there's a lot more you want to experiment to.
Yes.
Like, I really want to go hard into, like, laser systems and that kind of stuff, because it's so highly technical and so highly specific that I'm like, oh, this tickles the part of the brain that I'm like, this is weird. I want to make things with it.
Let me get my hands on more lasers.
Yeah, let me get my hands on like some fancy laser systems and start like playing around with them, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, I'm excited to see a little bit more of that. But for the last question I will be asking for today, sadly, I wanted to ask, what is some advice from your fourth year, I don't know.
Fifth year.
No, final year.
Yeah.
You're from your final year self. You know, what kind of advice would you give to your first year self?
This is like hard. This is like a lot, but I'd say like things get better and worse at the same time. Generally just keep making things, and like I'd say don't be afraid about like how popular your art is, or how like don't care about social media, ignore numbers, ignore that, just make for yourself.
I mean, yeah, and I've seen that that's kind of what you've always kind of strived to do, is create for, you know, yourself and for these ideas that you have, right? You're not trying to appease anyone, right?
Yeah, it's like I'm not trying anymore to like, I used to kind of like chase the algorithm and do all this stuff and be like, yeah, make art for like if it goes crazy on the internet and whatnot. And now it's like just making art for myself and what I think my friends will enjoy, and what I think like my partner will enjoy, and just it's for myself. It's like about what comes out of me. It's not necessarily for anybody other than people like me specifically.
Yeah, no, absolutely amazing, you know. And just because it's just for you doesn't mean that there won't be people enjoying this. I absolutely love this works. There's so many different things happening in this one. You know, I'll just call it a piece, but it's definitely more than just a piece. It's definitely a space. It's a space. In this space, you know, and I'm really excited to see it myself. And you guys should all see it too. This is gonna be amazing in person. Where can people find this one more time?
It'll be Gradix, 3rd floor, room 355, and also probably all over my social media, but you need to be in this space in order to experience it.
100%. And, you know, I thank you so much for your time and for the amount of knowledge you shed on to everything, technologically specifically. And before I end off this episode, where, you know, is there anything you'd like to put out there for the world to know, you know, promote, you know, plug?
Come to Gradix. It'll be cool. Come party. Bring everybody you know. If you're part of like the furry community, bring everybody you know.
Bring
party in there, and yeah, just like you can find me at Fox everywhere. That's it. Awesome. Come to Gradix.
Yes, come to Gradix, please. This is so you cannot be missing out on this amazing work, especially and just seeing all the technologies that you got behind here, like. Oh my gosh, like the amount of work and processing that's going into this, you know, it's just insane. And I'm excited for everyone to see it. Thank you again once more for your time. I hope you had as much as fun as I did interviewing you on the show. And hope you guys have a great day, a great week, or a great weekend. And hopefully we'll see you at GradX. Take care.